This happened about a month ago, but I couldn't decide if I should post it or not. I'm a paranoid person and didn't know if I was going to deal with something like this again if I post about it. But since it's been about a month and nothing has happened again, I thought I'd share it. I would like to point out that English is not my first language, so please excuse me for any errors in the story. Here it is. I'm a 22-year-old girl from Bulgaria, studying art in another town. I was back home to my parents' house for Christmas vacation, so this happened a little after New Year's. My parents' house is in a little village near a big town, where I grew up. We moved in the village and we now live in a 2-story house. I was sitting one night in my room drawing in my sketchbook and listening to some amazing horror stories on YouTube, as I usually do. It was about 2 o'clock and I was immersed in a scary story, not knowing that I would be living in my own horror story soon. It started with me receiving a notification from Snapchat that someone added me. I was confused, but still opened it and saw that someone with the username Lappy7829 added me as a friend. Now I would like to explain why this was weird to me. I don't use Snapchat anymore. I just have it on my phone for no reason at all. None of my friends use it since Instagram got the story thing, and we all started to use that instead. I have little friends on Snapchat and none of them use it, so I didn't think that it was somebody I knew. I never have my location on or Bitmoji or whatever it's called that can give away my location and my username to people nearby. I don't know if that's what it does, like I said. I haven't been using Snapchat in a while. Oh, I also didn't have my username written anywhere on my social media. Moving on. Out of curiosity, I added Lappy789 and opened their profile to see if they had a picture or something that could tell me who this was. There was nothing, only their Snapchat score, which was about 7. I set my phone on my desk and started to rewind the video to listen to the parts that I missed while I was distracted with the phone. As I was getting ready to go back to sketching, I got a notification that Lappy789 sent me a snap. I opened it, and it was a picture of grass taken with a flashlight. I looked at it confused and then went to chat box to type, "What is this? Who are you?" Lappy789 received it, then it said that they read it, but they didn't respond. At this point, I started to ask all of my friends if it was one of them or if they had given my username to someone, but no one confessed. Next, a snap came, and it was a picture of what looked like a red tile. I was growing very impatient, and once again, I texted the person, asking who he was and if we knew each other. They saw my message and didn't respond. Next snap came, and I was prepared to start screenshotting to show my boyfriend. It was a picture of what it looked like a little knob, but I couldn't see what it was exactly. I failed to screenshot it, so I had to replay the snap. When I screenshotted it, I went to look at the picture and realized that this was a little closing mechanism on our backyard gazebo. Here are the 2 pictures. The first one is the screenshot, and the second I took the next day in daylight for you to see better. Screenshotted and my pic. At this point, I'm slowly realizing that this person is sending me Snapchats from my backyard. And it's not so easy for someone to come to our backyard, as we have a very tall fence, and you have to take your time and scout the place around to find a viable way to climb the fence. And it was dark, so it would be difficult. That to me meant that whoever this was, they looked around during the day to find a way to get in. I stood up from my desk and ran to turn off all the lights. When it was dark, I tried to peek through my window shades to the backyard, but it was a very cloudy and dark night, so I didn't see anything. Next snap came, and like last time, I was ready to screenshot. When I've opened the snap, I nearly screamed. It was a picture of the tip of a ceramic abstract sculpture that we have in our backyard. I ran out of my room, not knowing what to do. For some strange reason, I didn't want to wake up my dad and tell him what was going on. My mom was sleeping downstairs on the couch, and I was upstairs trying to figure out how to open the super loud and screechy door to our terrace without waking up my parents and letting that freak know what I was doing. I battled with the door for about 30 seconds, but I managed to open it quietly and carefully stepped outside to look at the backyard. Didn't see anything. I looked and I looked, trying to stay as low as I could, so that the snapper wouldn't see me, but I couldn't see anything. I went inside once again, trying my best to be as quiet as possible, when I received another Snapchat from Lappy7829. It was a picture of my mom sleeping on the couch, taken from outside through a crack in the blinds. This freak took a fucking photo of my mom. As shocked and terrified I was, I still managed to screenshot it. At this point, I lost it. I started screaming for my dad. He came out of the bedroom and tried to calm me down as I was trying to explain to him that there was somebody in our backyard. I could see that he didn't really take me seriously, but he went outside anyways, carrying his gun. My mom was awake now, trying to calm me down as I was hyperventilating, failing to explain to her what Snapchat was. My dad came inside after checking everywhere and said that he didn't find anybody. I showed them the pictures and they seemed disturbed now, but said that it was a kid or one of my friends trying to mess with us. The thing is that I don't live in the big town that I lived in before we moved to the nearby village. All of my friends live either in my hometown or other towns in the country, and I don't know anyone in the village that I live in now. So the idea that it might have been somebody I know didn't seem right to me. I went in my room and calmed down and checked my phone, remembering that I didn't look if I had any new snaps after I showered my parents the pictures. I had 3 new snaps from Lappy 7829. They were a picture of our front gate, which I couldn't screenshot, and 2 messages saying "see you soon." Bye. I immediately blocked the account. I barely slept that night. I texted and called all of my friends, begging them to confess if it was one of them, but nobody did. When I told him what happened to my boyfriend, he asked everybody that he knew, but still nothing. We tried to find the account, but we soon found out that they had deactivated it. There was no one in the name of Lappy 7829 anymore. I deleted Snapchat that night and don't think I'll ever use it again. The next day I went outside to look around and see if the creep left something behind, and I saw footprints on a little muddy patch near the place that they took the photo of my mom. My dad doesn't seem to believe it was the footprints of the intruder, saying that it was one of us stepping there, but I'm quite sure they weren't ours. To this day, I still don't know who it was. I've asked everyone that I know, but nothing has come of it. I still wonder what their intentions were. Were they trying to scare me? Were they stalking me? Who were they? How did they find me? How did they enter my backyard? Do they still send me Snapchats? I wouldn't know. I deleted the app. So this was around 10 years ago, when I was about 13 to 14 when this happened. I had been in a really dark place mentally, and I met this guy through Tumblr. He told me his name was John, and he thought I was really pretty and ran a cool Tumblr. He used pictures of this super generic emo guy, and my tween heart was cooked. We talked for days and nights, and at one point I told him the town I lived in. Because my parents worked late, I'd get home from school and usually be by myself at home, and I'd sit in the living room, which had this big window facing the street. If you looked in, you could see people and the TV, and I always kept the curtains open for light. So about 2 weeks after John and I were talking, I'd noticed this white car drive slowly past my house at least once a day, usually right after I got home from school. I also noticed that whenever I was watching something and texting John, he'd find a way to bring the show into the conversation. I didn't think much of it at first because usually it shows I'd reblogged on my page before. That was until I started watching Pretty Little Liars on ABC Family. I hadn't posted or reblogged anything about the show, and then John started bringing it up. I thought it was really weird. When I asked him about it, he said I just seemed like the type of girl who watched it, so I dropped the issue. Fast forward 2 weeks, and I'm with some friends at a nearby park. I wasn't having a good day, so we decided to hang out and do photo shoots or whatever. So we were walking around, and I turned my head, and boom, there's that white car again. Except it's closer, and I can see the person in it. It's this older guy in his 20s just watching us. I got really uncomfortable but didn't bring it up, and then my friend suggested we go to the playground, which is right next to the parking lot. But at this point, none of my friends knew about this issue, and I wanted to seem cool, so I went along with it. We dicked around on the playground for a bit when I noticed the guy in the white sedan get out of his car and walk towards us. My middle school brain is trying to rationalize that this can't be the same car that kept sitting outside and driving past my house, and the guy was just watching his kid or something. I wish that were the case. I went over to the water fountain to grab a drink, and the guy came up to me. Guy, hi there. Me? Hi guy. You already said my Tumblr handle, right? My blood went ice cold. Me? Yes, who are you? He smiled at me, this really wide grin. Guy, I'm John. I came to see you in person. You told me the town you lived in and how you wish we could meet. Me? Listen, I got to get back to my friends. Guy, no. Why don't we take a drive? We can go to McDonald's. He grabbed my arm at this point, and I think one of my friends had noticed because she came up to us, and the John guy released me and started to back up. Friend, hey Lizzie, Mom said we got to head home. Dad's home, and he had a long day. I nodded along and walked away with her, my whole group of friends crowding me as we headed back to my house. I never told my parents what happened that day, and none of my friends did either. None of us wanted our Tumblrs exposed, and we thought we'd get in trouble for what happened, even though I was the only one at risk. When we got home, I blocked John and reported the account, thanking my friends for saving me. It's scary to think what could have happened if they hadn't been there, and I don't think the story would have a happy ending. A few months ago, I was quickly added on Snapchat by some girl who had a normal-looking Bitmoji and was fairly new to Snapchat. Her Snap score was only about 400 or 500. I accepted the request since I could always use some more friends and some more streaks, and she almost immediately texted me, despite the request being about 6 hours old when I first saw it. She texted me, hey QB, what's up? I was a bit confused by this message as she had never seen a picture of me yet and Bitmojis aren't necessarily accurate. I just replied, "Hello," and the conversation continued on as normal for about 10 to 15 minutes. Eventually, she sent me a picture of herself. I was a little surprised by it as she looked exactly like one of my girlfriend's friends that I had met on a night out one time. I simply dismissed it as being coincidental. People often have some who look similar to themselves. She requested a picture of me, and I just sent her a simple selfie of me. Again, she referred to me as being cute, but it wasn't as weird this time because now she had actually seen me. I just thought of it as her being nice. She started flirting with me even after I brought up how I had a girlfriend. She would say stuff like, "I wish you didn't have a girlfriend. You seem so sweet and cute, and the color of your eyes is making my heart flush." She would even get sexually explicit with some of her compliments. Out of nowhere, she sends me 2 more selfies of her. This time, they were 2 pictures of other women I had only met once or twice in my life. One of them was my girlfriend's other friend, and another was an old classmate of mine from 8th grade, assuming it was my girlfriend doing some stupid loyalty test to me. I just said to her, "Nice try, Aurora," not my girl's real name. "You should know after 2 years of dating I'd never cheat on you." After I said this, she sent me a picture of yet another girl I hardly knew and said, "Who the fuck is Aurora?" Freaked out a bit now, I asked who this really was. She got really pissy with me, saying how every new person she meets accuses her of being a catfish because she always looks like somebody they know. I asked her if she had more pictures of herself just to see if I'm not losing my mind. She sends me 5 more, each of yet another girl I knew. This time, some of them were a bit closer to me. I asked her where she got the pictures from, and she was still insistent of them being of her and promising she isn't a catfish. After about 10 minutes of me pressuring the catfish into giving herself up, she sent me a heart-chilling snap. It was a picture of the front of my old house, where I moved away from about 3 to 4 years before this incident. It was taken at the same time of day as this conversation was happening, so I assumed she had taken it at that very moment. I now knew it couldn't be my girlfriend just being creepy, as we weren't dating when I lived there, nor did she ever know about me living there. I figured it was a friend of mine just playing some sick prank with an alt account. But some of the photos they used were of girls that they didn't know about my acquaintances with. She followed it up with several pictures of another girl. This time they weren't just normal selfies or group photos, they were candid shots of nobody other than my girlfriend. Some of them were of her sitting at stoplights in her car, others were of her walking into the school we go to. My heart dropped. I blocked the person immediately and phoned my girlfriend to tell her of the situation. She assured me that it wasn't her or one of her friends doing some kind of prank or loyalty test, and that she didn't know somebody had been taking photos of her. I haven't been added by anyone similar of nature or heard from that account ever again. I still have no idea who was actually behind it. My friends that I or Aurora still had contact with have since private their Instagram accounts, which is where the pictures the account sent me came from. And my girlfriend and I have disabled our Snap Maps to everyone, including our close friends. I still want to believe this was just some sick prank from one of my best friends or something, and not just some genuinely creepy person who's stalking me and my girlfriend.